Okay, welcome everyone to the Ossining Public Library Genealogy Workshop. I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm so excited about this and excited to have Joyce here because Joyce is definitely our expert. She is well-versed in genealogy research, and I'm sure she'll have great ideas and tips for us. And that's also perfect, of course, for her role as village historian. So I know you're going to link all of that together, Joyce, and help us find our roots. I just want to point out on our website, ossinglibrary.org, under digital library and then LibGuides, we do have a genealogy LibGuide. It's just a list of books and resources and everything. And I'm hoping to get more tips from Joyce today so that I can add those too. But check it out. I can put the link or send the link to you later or put it here. But without further ado, welcome, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm really excited about this. And as I was thinking about what to share with you today, I was thinking at how we're looking at the numbers and going reverse and getting closer to another, semi shutdown. And how do we continue our research with not being able to leave the house? And how can we really maximize what we see online? So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Diane, I need you to make me co-host. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to share is a birth certificate. So the things we have in our house, and this is, I went, for my family, I went to North Carolina and I went searching around. They're very giving and providing information down there. But when you're looking at a birth certificate and death certificate, I want you to really examine what you're looking at. There's so much information that you're going to get. Please give a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, thank you. So if you look at this, we see the town is at the top, the county, Bertie County, it's in Woodville. And if you see here, my great uncle was named something different when he was born, and they changed it later on and crossed it out and put it at the top. So when I'm looking for him in documents, sometimes I need to look for Galley or Langford, because in the census document, I might think if I see Gallier once and then Clarence later that I think a kid died, but it wasn't a kid died. He was just named something different. So we really want to critically look at what we see when we see these documents. So I recommend when you're searching someone, you're doing a specific person, get an Excel spreadsheet and start to really write down the information that you see for that person. So we know he's a boy. We see his parents' names. So even in the parents' names, if you were unaware of one of the parents before, we get the mother's maiden name. You can't see it here, but her name was Nellie Outlaw. So now we have another surname that we're looking at for the family. And then we have where they were born, their nationality. But I want you to look at the very bottom. This was so interesting to me that it talked about who delivered the baby. And it turns out to be my second great grandmother was the midwife. So when you're looking, normally when I would look at a birth certificate or a death certificate before turning to genealogy, I would have looked at the name, maybe the parents. I never would have looked at the bottom. I never would have looked at the hospital. I never would have looked at any of that information. Do not discount anything that you're seeing on a document. So really look critically at everything that you were seeing. Any questions on that? Okay. So the next thing I'm going to share with you, let's see. Hold on one second. I want to start going into some actual documents that I think would be very helpful in your search. Let's see if we can get it to share. here we go.
Joyce, I have a question.
Sure.
On that birth certificate, did it mention the time of birth?
The time of birth was not on there. That's a good question. It was not
Do
on.
you know when they started, putting time on there, or?
No, that's a good question. I don't know down south when they started putting the time. I will look into that and get back to you.
Sure.
I do know.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just know.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I want to know that too as well. But also looking at the fact that if it says a birth certificate or a delayed birth certificate, and if it was delayed means it was at a time that they did not require birth and death certificates, so they had to go back and prove their birth. Sometimes it wasn't the actual date. Some people really don't know what day they were born because it wasn't recorded, and they're going back to get a delayed birth certificate by way of affidavit. And those are amazing because then you start to see other family members had to attest to the fact that the person was born on the specific day. So now you're learning more about the people whose lives and your family. Okay, so the census document. When people usually do their ancestry.com account, they look at the census document really quickly. They see their family's name and they're ready to go. They're like, oh, I found them, and they just add it and they just keep going. You can spend a good hour staring at a census document just for all that it tells you. So even from the very top, you're going to see the county, the state, the township. And remember, over time, borders changed, town names changed, things changed a lot. So you might think you're looking at two different locations, but you've been looking at the same kind of space, but the zoning changed, or the town changed, the lines changed. So this one is 1900. And the reason why I chose to show you 1900 is because this is the first time they started showing how many kids women had. So here in 1900, it's telling you that they had how many children were alive and how many children are gone. So that helps you when you're, if you're looking at, because it was every 10 years that the federal government did a census. 1890, unfortunately, was burned in a fire, so we don't have it. But if you saw in 1870 that your second great grandmother had 14 kids, and you've been driving yourself crazy looking for all 14 by 1900, you can see here how many she had and how many survived. So here can you still hear me? You look frozen to me. If someone could just tell me if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
No, I'm fine.
Yes,
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Was it
Now
just
I
New
can.
York?
Okay,
who
great.
did
Thank
this?
you. You were frozen for quite some time. Okay. So if you see here, okay, great. If you see, okay, great. If you see here, it says mother of how many children and number of these children living. This is very important for you when you're searching. Everyone. This was the federal census. So starting in 1900, we saw how many women had children they had, and at that time, how many were living.
Thank you.
Now, did Joyce yeah, okay, you there, Joyce? Yeah, okay, good.
I'm so sorry. I have no idea what's going on with my internet today. Like I said, it hasn't done this in months. Okay, so back to the census. So Randy, it was you had the question of if it was state or
Yeah,
federal.
it was dumb. The census is a federal thing, so it would be the same for everybody, right?
But no, it wasn't done. It wasn't dumb, Randy, because the state did a census in between.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yes,
Cool.
you will find state census. I could show you that as well. Actually, let's do that. Please never say that something is dumb because it really isn't.
Okay, thank you.
This
That
is
sounds like
my,
a challenge. That's a challenge for me.
you will learn a lot on your genealogical search. I just need to get to one part of my family. Hold on. Alrighty, so if you look down at the bottom, you see all the top is all federal. If you scroll down, you'll start to see the state. Here is New York State right here in 1925. They were in the in-between years. So just want to show you. So Randy is okay with the question that he asked today. That's a good question. They did not capture the same information though, but it is nonetheless a very good resource is the state census. Are you all there?
Yeah. And so my family came from Washington State and Idaho.
Okay.
And I mean, did all states do these intermediate censuses between the 10-year intervals, or just certain states?
I think it was certain states, but what's going to
Okay.
be very helpful for you have you ever heard of Family Search?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to go into the Family Search, and this is for everyone. Sorry, I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. And I kind of want this to go this way. If you guys have questions, like I said, I don't want it to be as teachy as I want you to really get something out of your time here. But Family Search has a wiki, and you're going to go in and you're going to find out as much as you can. And you said Washington State?
Right.
Okay. So
Actually,
you're going to go.
Idaho, actually. I mean, to
Idaho.
be, as I think about it, I'm from Washington, but my parents were from Idaho.
Okay. So you will go to Research Wiki. So you see where I went to search.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to go to the wiki. And it's like Family Search is Wikipedia. And then you see it has the maps. You can go to Idaho. You could type it here or go find it on on the map. And in here, you'll see the censuses for Idaho. Then it'll tell you what they have. You can come over here and you'll see, you can click right on that blue button. A blue button will take you directly to everything from Idaho online.
Oh,
and
nice.
you see here all the different things that you have. So for everyone, since Family Search is free, I would really go in and become familiar with how to really navigate Family Search. It is not as easy to navigate as Ancestry, but it is full of information. So this is a great resource for you here. And you see there is a lot of information here on Idaho.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so the next thing I want, going back to the census, is when you're looking at it and you see I've highlighted, I have Henry Doors here. I don't want to just look at Henry Doors. When we're looking at our family, we want to also be involved in their fan network. And the fan network is their friends and their neighbors and associates, because we, like we are today, we're associated with our friends. We live next door to our friends. We go to our friends' houses. We vacation with our friends. We might have the same neighbors for 50 years. If we know that in our search, if we know that great grandma lived next to John Brown for 40 years, and for some reason we can't find our great grandparent in the census, I'm going to go look for that neighbor because maybe they erroneously wrote our name or the last name's not the same. So you want to really look at the whole neighborhood. Look at the surnames that are next door. These people are next door. And a lot of time our families, sorry if I'm making this move too much, our families live together in groups. So if you go about 5 pages up and 5 pages back with Ancestry, if you hit this button here, you'll stay in the same neighborhood. and you can start to look around at who was living around your family, because most likely there's more family there or the neighbors, and just get familiar with the whole community. So if we go back, we're still on census. So now in 1900, we can see how many kids were in the family at 1900. We can see the birth month, the birth year, the age, the name. It's very important when you're building the story of your family. It's about the people. It's about where the house that they lived in. A lot of times I will look at the house and I will go look and see if that house is still there. You can, if it says 4 Main Street, you go right into Google and Google 4 Main Street and see if it's still there, if it's the same building. That's part of your family record of your ancestors. Then you look across and then you see occupation. I had a client where I did her ancestry and she had some really impressive stuff. They worked on bridges and she says, I looked at this a million times. I said, I need you to look at everything. The occupations matter because you know what your family did, how they contributed to our society, how they contributed to their neighborhood. And it's important to know for everyone, you know, how we contribute to what we look at today. And then you look and see if they owned property, where they came from. And then you get to see where the parents, because a lot of times people don't know what country, or someone might have told you.
Joyce, are you there?
Maybe it's the heat.
Yeah.
It must be, I swear. So what is the last thing you heard? I want to make sure you're hearing everything if anyone's comfortable with telling me.
Well, I think you were talking about occupations.
Yeah, occupation, property
Okay,
ownership.
so
Yeah.
the occupation is very important. You want to know what your family did. You want to be able to push that information forward to the young kids. It's inspiring to them. If grandpa was a cop, that might make you want to change your whole path. If grandma was she was a suffragist, you want to know that grandma was out there hitting the pavement and she was changing the way for you. You know, you want to know those things. So if I step away for a minute, away from the internet, let's think about things that might be in our house. Okay, so one of my favorite things to look at, and is also in the library, is yearbooks. So when you're going in the yearbook, I mean, it's not just one. You get to see a picture of your family member and you might look so much like them, it scares you and you don't know you're not looking at yourself. But not just that, but you'll know if they played a sport, what they did academically, if they were in different clubs. It may, you might solve a genealogical mystery in there for different things that were told in your family that wasn't necessarily true, that grandpa was the great football player, but grandpa might have played golf, you know, so now you just solved a mystery. So really I want to encourage you to look at things and not just flip through it just for the picture. Really examine the yearbook and go to the library. They have, if you're from Ossining, they have a large display of the yearbooks. So the other thing, and Shandi has a great selection of this, scrapbooks. Scrapbooks, the older folks, my grandmother used to do this and I did not know why, but now I really appreciate it, is she saved every article ever known to man about everything. I don't even know if she knew these people, but she saved the articles. And in these articles are not just about your family. You might be solving a community problem or, you know, issue where people are trying to find things, and you might have that key for someone in your community that was searching because grandma saved every article. When you're researching also about your family, if they're from Italy, if they're from Idaho, as you said, and my family's from Bertie, look and see what books have been written about where you come from. because my family is from Bertie County, North Carolina. This book was written, and after I did my research and read the book, that's my family on the cover. I would have never, I would have never,
Wow.
that was a shock. This is the plantation in which they were enslaved. And this is them on the cover with the people that enslaved them. And I would
Wow.
have never known that if I didn't have access or wasn't told about this book. And it really goes in depth inside about what it was like to live there. When you're researching your family, you want to know what was it like for them to live where they lived, who influenced their lives. You want to really build a picture. You can't get a whole picture just by just putting their names on a tree. If you want to know about your family, you want to learn their story, learn what they went through, learn what they saw, because that's what you pass down. You know,
So how did you find the book?
I just wanted to mention that, and we had the opportunity to bring the professor that wrote the book to the Ossining Public Library, because there are a number of families in Ossining who are from there, and he was wonderful. He's a professor at North Carolina A&T, and he had a lot of information to give us about the area.
Mm-hmm. So it's really important in tying in. Thank you, Shandi. Tying in, he was wonderful. Actually, he talked about Native American experience and how it tied in. So like I said, instead of learning just about my family, I learned about the entire community in which they lived. So not only just my enslaved family, I want to know about who enslaved them. So I know that the man that enslaved him was a preacher. I wanted to know about him because he influenced the life of my family. So that's the complete story of my history, not just the fact that they were enslaved. So that's what I'm talking about getting a bigger picture of your family.
Yeah, Joyce, can you just hold up the book again and tell us the title? Yeah,
it is called the Making of America series. It's Bertie County and Eastern Carolina History by Arwen D. Smallwood.
And if it's the Making of America series, do they have other locations?
Yeah, I think I saw different states.
Yeah, they do.
Different states.
Okay.
So that's a really good thing. So you want to look at things in your house and those old clippings. And then speaking of old clippings, we're going to go there next. We're going to head back to the internet. I know this is on the library LibGuide. How many people have heard of Fulton history? Hold on, I just need to move this dialog box out the way. Okay, here we go. All right, so Fulton history. Is anyone familiar? Is anyone not familiar?
I've never heard of Fulton anything.
Okay, this is wonderful. If you are from, I mean, it does go, it's really centered. This gentleman does this for free. He decided to upload newspapers, particularly in New York, but I have seen them in other states. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you go on, because you have to, Shandi knows it frustrated her in the beginning. At first, it's not the easiest thing to do. But when you get in here, I promise you all, you will send the library a message and say that Joyce had me on this site and I was there for 7 hours and didn't get off. So you go, this is the front page. It's fultonhistory.com, FULTON history.com. And when you go in, you can, if you want to go straight into it, you click number 1. But he does have some tutorials about how to navigate his website. But we're just going to go here for now. And I can't tell you enough about what a newspaper article will do for you when you are researching obituaries, wedding announcements, sports events. I mean, everything, jobs, everything you can think. I have solved so many genealogical mysteries, so many community mysteries just from going into the articles. And just so you know, a lot of things are not digitized. There are things that you need to hit the ground to go look, but this source here is impeccable. I mean, it's just impeccable about what you can find and how early. I mean, I have articles from 1887 that I look at, and I've solved so many wonderful mysteries. So who here is from Ossining? That's been here for a while. Nobody on here is from Ossining besides Shandi?
Yes, I'm from Ossining. I grew up here.
Okay, who's speaking? I can't see.
That's Karen.
Hi, Karen. So
Hi.
have you ever been on here?
No, I had never heard of
Okay.
this one.
So let's do this. Let's get an old family name you want to look up.
Well, we were just first generation. I moved here when I was 4. My maiden name was Turro,
Okay.
Turro, but we don't have any other history here. I should give you Giuliano instead because my in-laws were here much longer.
When did your family get here? The tour.
My family, so I was 4, so that was in like 1958.
Those papers are
So-
in here. Okay, but you want to try Giuliano?
No, I'm thinking, well, Giuliano family's been here. We even had a business here for 3 generations. So
Okay,
they've been
spell it.
here a long time.
Okay, spell it.
Juliano.
Okay, so this is what you do when you're searching on Fulton. I want you to go in, if you're looking for Bob Smith, I want you to put it in parentheses, Bob Smith. And if you know the location, put and then put a space and then put the location in parentheses. And then we're just going to hit search and see what we come up with. And I
So
found
you-
2,000 articles with piano in it.
So
I'm
you use
sorry?
quotes. Did you mean quotes or parentheses?
I'm sorry, quotes. I meant quotes.
Okay,
You're going to
okay,
put it in
all right.
quotes and
Just
you're
thought I would
going to
check.
put the word and between it. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to look so I can see 1978, 67, usually 61. You can usually scroll down. You can go, like I said, you can go back to the 1800s.
I don't know what year.
When you do, I'm
Yeah,
just
I don't
picking
know
any
what year they came. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to pick any year because I want to show you
Okay.
what it looks like when it comes up. It's taken a while for some reason. Okay, so when you do it, it's always going to come up highlighted. So both the words that you put in quotes are going to come highlighted. Ossining's going to highlight and Giuliano's going to highlight because I told it that that search request has to have both of the names that I put in there. And it doesn't have to be just a name. It could be a phrase,
Right.
but you could put it in there. So we have Giuliano accounts for 25 tallies. So did they play sports?
Yeah, they did.
Yep. So you can spend 2 hours or more because you have 2,000 articles to go to. You can be on here for the whole weekend and you're going to
Yeah.
find out so much about your family. But this is the other thing I want you to do. When you look at articles, look at the whole page
Right.
because now you're going to see what's going on in the neighborhood. And that's what we call the genealogical rabbit holes. You're
Mhm.
going to become bipolar because you will be doing one thing and all of a sudden now you're down a rabbit hole because you found another article on the side of the one you were looking for and
Yeah.
someone's going to have to rein you in. But you will find photographs. You're gonna, I always think of it like my husband has to come around like Airplane. Remember when everyone lined up and smacked the lady because I'm just like, the lights on at night and I'm under the cover with the laptop trying to find more. But this is a wonderful website and it's free. I'm
That's-
trying to tell you free
awesome.
things so you don't have to commit. Yeah, you don't have to commit money, but if you want to, you can do Genealogy Bank. That's great for obituaries, but you do have to pay. Some of them offer like a week for free. You can do newspapers.com. I find, especially Randy for Idaho and things like that, they're good because they have like bigger world papers. The Library of Congress has papers. Diana, you'll get their email because I have a sheet. So I'll send you a sheet of things that resources that you can use when we're done. for
Oh, thank
everyone to
you.
look at.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, and I can email it and I'll also put it on the LibGuide. That's great. Thank you, Joyce.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry,
we-
can I ask you a question? The fultonhistory.org, is that primarily New York based or no?
Yes, and it's .com.
Oh, it's .com? Okay.
Yes, fultonhistory.com. It's mostly, but not all the way. Like I said, I found things in other countries, Kentucky. I found different things. So I wouldn't discount it. I would go in because he's adding more, but he does have a very big focus on New York. So the other thing is, if you has anyone ever heard of Cindy's List?
No.
Cindy,
Nope.
CYNDISLIST.com. Again, CYNDISLIST.com, Cindy's List. This is an amazing site. So you can go there and you can go by categories. I'm looking for birth certificates, censuses, so she's doing basically what I'm going to send you is a list of repositories, of things that you can go to, websites. She puts it all here as well. But one of the places, if you had family that has immigrated here, have you ever looked at the Ellis Island documents? They are wonderful in looking at the manifest, because on the manifest, they had to say where they were going. So now you have either a family member or friend, like we talked about that fan network of friends, associates, and neighbors. Now we know that they're connected to this person, or if they traveled and to immigrate here, they traveled in groups. Now you see either family or friends. And when you're looking through here, you have occupations, age, where they're going, what date it was that they came. And that's important too, because now when you're looking in the census documents, people have the same exact name, and people think that their name is so unique that no one possibly can have it because grandma made that name up pretty good. There is probably 10,000 people with that beautiful made up name. So if you knew that they came to this country in 1925 and you found one in the 1800 newspaper, 1845 newspaper, they weren't here. So it's not that person. So you get to start to discern. It helps you discern who is the actual person that you're looking for. Does anyone have any questions on the manifest?
I have a question. My ancestors were from Ireland, but they ended up in the Boston area, not in New York. Would they have still come through New York, and would I still look here for information on passage, et cetera?
So that's a good question. They could have come through New York, but if you go to Cindy's List, can you hear me? Because you guys look frozen.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
She may be frozen.
Yeah, we can hear you, Joyce.
Let me see if I stop my video. Can you hear me?
I think so.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, as I cut my camera to see if it was easier to hear me. They could have come through New York. However, if you go to Cindy's List and go to where she talks about immigration, emigration, and migration, you will see the different ports. It goes to where you can search from active.
You
Yeah.
there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my camera off because I think it'll help. So if you're looking at Cindy's List, and I don't think I have, oh yeah, I do. Okay. If you go to Cindy's List, you can look at the different immigration and migration. You see here, it has Danish, Ellis. So it'll show you the different places. It's wonderful. Go here. and checked the different ports they could have left from. Do you see?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. And then another one is if your family is from here, Westchester County Archives has wonderful online indexes. So you do have to contact them to get the full document, but I have received wedding certificates, marriage certificates that are so detailed that I was just amazed. From the preacher's important to know, the church, the date of marriage, the occupation at the time of marriage. It has everything. You also have, if your family owned a big company, they have the incorporation records there, the jail blotters. I mean, we all have special people in our family that did some spicy things, but I want to know that too. It's part of the record. Naturalization records are there as well. You have wills, some wills that are on file there. Wills are a wonderful, wonderful resource for knowing, you want to know what your family had, who they were leaving it to, where their property was. You can look for deeds on, you could Google for deeds depending on where you're from. You will go to that clerk's office in that community, ask them where their archived deeds are. Deeds are wonderful. If you are African American and are a descendant from an enslaved ancestor, you want to research a little differently. If you do not know where you were enslaved or found that family, you would go to Ancestry or anywhere that has a census document and hope that the surname that you carry is the one that's associated with the person that enslaved you. And you will look in that. So for me, I would look in Bertie County, North Carolina, for anybody white with the last name Sharrock. And I was able to pinpoint, I can narrow down who could have possibly owned my family that way. So then you actually end up having to do double the work, because then you need to research that entire family and then start digging into their wills and see if you show up in the documentation. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. At one time, Westchester County had a practical nurse registry. And I wonder if that's in the Westchester County archives.
It was the practical nurse registry a Westchester County, was the organization run by Westchester County?
I don't know.
Okay. They tend to keep Westchester County only created documents, the archives. However, there is a Westchester County Historical Society that may have more information. But let's go back to Fulton. So this is exactly what I would do. You told me about something I didn't know about. I would go see if Fulton had anything about, you said the practical nurse registry.
Yeah.
So no, doesn't mean it's not real. It's just not there. Or maybe I would shorten the name. That's the other thing I want to talk to you about, name variations. But I'm sorry, to answer your question, I will actually look into that, the practical nurse registry. And
Okay.
You might want to put Ann Phelps.
No, my grandmother didn't have anything to do with Phelps. She worked at the Yonkers Professional Hospital.
Mhm.
And
So
she
maybe
started
Yonkers.
working there in the Depression.
What was her name?
Her name was Evelyn Bradley. Her maiden name was Smythe, Smyth.
Was she a Smythe when she was a nurse? She started out as Smythe?
No, yeah, she married in this country in St. Barnabas Church, which I think is in Westchester. You know, it's that area of Yonkers that has flipped back and forth. And she was not a nurse under the name of Smythe. It was Bradley.
Okay. Do you know how she spelled her first name?
Yeah, Evelyn, Evelyn.
Okay, let's see if we can find her anywhere. So I found 24 Evelyn Bradleys in Yonkers, and you said depression. So I'm going to look at earlier times. So I did find. So this is what I would do. So for everyone, when you're searching, you're going to look up name variations, spell names differently. You're going to spell them differently. You're going to do different variations of names. You're going to have to play around with names a lot. So if it's Bob Smith, I would put Robert Smith. I do Bob Smith. I'll do Bab Smith. I would do almost and I would spell Smith differently. I might put a Y, I might not. So I see Mildred Evelyn Bradley. That's not her.
See down where it says 62%, it says A. Fiella, who has donated his medical services, and nurses Evelyn Bradley and Eleanor Bracken, Yonkers, where it says 62%.
Shondi, where are you looking?
62% on the left of the Fulton.
Yeah, that's probably her.
That's her, yeah.
See where it says Yonkers, New York Herald Statesman, 1946.
Yes. So if you put in Evelyn Bradley the way I did, then you can find that this one you're talking about. Is this a picture of her? Is that her?
That's her. That's her.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Next to the man and between the kid and the man.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
her. That's
Wow.
amazing. Do you want me to save this for you so I can have it sent to you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So when you're saving this stuff, you're gonna put, I'm on a Mac, so it looks a little different, but you can save every article that you find.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm just saving this one, sorry. That's wonderful. So now we have a picture of her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to research her licensed practical nurse license.
Okay. So now that you found her,
You know, the big mystery is whether she became an American citizen or not. The United States Archive says that she was not a citizen.
okay. So what I would do is, what is the last document? Do you have her coming in the country? Do you have?
No, yeah, I do. I have a ship manifest.
Okay.
She came in as a person who was about to be married, a fiance. She came with her mother and her brother. And they went to an address in the Bronx, which I have a picture of because the city of New York had tax photos, and they don't seem to have that in Yonkers.
Okay.
They were married about 2 weeks later to her fiance, and he had come from Argentina.
Okay.
He was Irish, but he didn't come here from Ireland. And I have no idea what port he came in through.
Okay. So you would, you would look at those manifest, work your way backwards with finding that. But there also were you said they went to the Bronx because we have natural.
And then they moved to a place in Yonkers, which originally was called Roosevelt Avenue, and then it was changed to Delano Avenue because there was another street in Yonkers which was also named Roosevelt.
Did they get married in Yonkers?
Yes, at St. Barnabas Church.
Right.
I have the affidavit for a license to marry.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm looking to see if it was registered with Westchester County. So did everyone see what I just did? So you could do it for your relatives as well. I would look for the man and the woman. And just because we know that her name is spelled with the Y,
It
I would
might
still
have
find
been
it.
SMYTHE,
Okay.
although on this affidavit, it's SMYTH.
Okay.
But I've seen it both ways in documents.
Yeah. I don't see her here, which doesn't mean anything. I would also, for everyone, if I didn't find her, I would look for him. What's the husband's name? It's Bradley.
Bradley.
What's his first name?
Samuel,
Samuel. Okay.
yeah.
So we have a Samuel, but it might not be him.
No,
this-
his middle name was Stanley.
Samuel Stanley.
Was
Okay.
in June of 1919.
Okay. So for everyone, you saw what I just did to get around here. That's how you navigate the one for the county. When you find what you need, you can submit a request at the top. I'm sorry, I had moved it over too quickly. You can submit a request for the record through here. Or if you call, and that's probably what I would do, find out what days they're open and make a pilgrimage down there. It's not far. And the reference desk is amazing. Jackie is amazing.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm glad we found at least a picture of her. That was fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying about articles. You can find, that's the excitement you can get from a newspaper, is bringing someone to life in a picture that you haven't seen for a long time or never seen ever. The other thing I want to talk to you about is maps. So when we're thinking about things look different, and as historian, village historian, I'm always looking at the community, but I know that the community has changed. Buildings are not where they used to be. So the Sanborn maps are my favorite. Oh, I love these maps. They're very exciting. Does anyone never heard of Sanborn Maps?
No.
Okay, Sanborn Maps they were insurance maps that they did. And they did it for, I forget how many years they have it for Ossining. It's not, a long time, 1911, 19, 27, 31, but I can see the change in the community. But the first page of every Sanborn map, and this is just not for New York, look up, you can Google, it's the quickest way. If you're looking up wherever place you're looking, just Google Sanborn map of whatever place. So I just put Ossining Sanborn Maps. It takes me right there. It's with the Library of Congress. But you're going to go right in to the map. So the first page is amazing. So if you had a census document and it told you what street you were on, you could look right at that front page and you can see what pages the streets are on. And looking in here is amazing. Look at the index. Even the index is a very good research tool. You can see from the different years, the addition of fire departments, banks, churches. So you might see one in one and not the other because it wasn't, there. Here we see the Olive Opera House and the Boat Club, Ossining High School. So it's so many different things that you can see, and you'll see the changing of the communities over the years and even the buildings. So I'm just going to go into one of the pages. Let's make it bigger. What street are we looking at? So Water Street down by the train station. You see the train tracks, and look at the different businesses that are not there anymore. Chatham is still there, but you could just look around and you see the change of the community. If you've ever been Shandi, this is good for Shandi. She lives, close enough to the area where you can see that the houses are different. So even here, if I was researching, and the numbers change too, here, I could see that this building was dilapidated. It says it vacant and dilapidated. The lighting company, and you can see the different houses. This map is amazing, and it has solved a lot of mysteries for me. So if you're looking on Google for a house that your family lived in, but the house is not there anymore, you check a Sanborn map, maybe you don't have the physical house anymore, but now you have a map that shows where your family was.
Joyce, is that a lighting company where Hudson Wire used to
Yes.
be?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then how broad was Sanborn's mapping? Did they do the whole country or just?
I
Or do you
believe they did. So if I go here, there's 35,000 maps. I think
Okay.
over here you can see the locations. There you go.
That looks pretty exhaustive. Thank you.
It does.
Look, there's Idaho.
Yes. So I would go in here and go to town. I mean,
Okay.
you could just really see what, where your family was and at the time period, let's look in, I don't know what it looks like there, but I love to see what the landscape was in different places and how it's changed over time. So this is their main street, and just looking around, if you've went through a census document and your family lived at 26 Main Street, but at that time it was a drugstore.
Yep.
It's very interesting.
Indeed.
This is a map that the Sanborn Maps are a wonderful tool. Let's see. So we went over the county, we went over Fulton, which is amazing. We did the immigration, Ellis Island, Cindy's List, Ancestry, Family Search. And we don't want to forget the death certificates, obituaries are just amazing. Can you all hear me?
Joyce,
Yeah.
why would someone access the Westchester Historical Society, and how is it that they would do that?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm back. Okay. So does anybody have any questions or wanted to see anything? I'm not gonna, Diane, I know we went off a few times, so I'm fine to go a little over if everyone else is okay.
I
Yeah,
have,
But does
Sandy had a
anyone
question.
have any
I
questions?
do. I have a question that has to do with, you were speaking about the name variations. I have a number
Okay.
of people. in my family-
So
I'm sorry.
we have looked at some really good resources. I suggest, Diane, if you want to talk about what's at the library.
Mhm. So there were a couple of questions, Joyce. I don't know if you could hear from Kathy and Shandy, if you want to take those first. Can you hear us okay?
Oh, okay. I didn't hear anything. I was frozen. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. I have some
Yes.
family members
Mhm.
where it seems to be women that it was happening with, seem to go by their middle name instead of their first name that was given. And so for example, when my mother died, her given first name isn't even in her obituary because at that point she went by her middle name, which she'd always been called. I'm just wondering when you, for example, I was at one point trying to fill some things in on an Ancestry.com family tree, and it's confusing how people like that should be listed. I was wondering if you had any tips on that.
If you can repeat, because I got cut off, I got shut off and came back on. I'm
I was
sorry.
just saying that there's some people in my family who had, a given first name and a middle name, but they always went by their middle name.
Gotcha.
So then I'm wondering how that should be recorded and if it makes it a little trickier possibly in terms of researching.
Yes. So you're going to document on Ancestry what they were born as. And then when you're researching, I would have, when you've checked the census documents, what name are they coming up under?
I think with the middle name.
Okay. So when you're manually searching, do both. However, put the name that they were born as, because when you're looking for Social Security documents, and Social Security records are amazing, And if you can order them, because they have a ton of information. We didn't even get into military records. Oh my God, you can do so much with military records. But I would search by their given name, and then I would put a note in your Ancestry account of the nickname they go by, because in the articles, I would search for both names. Because if it's in a school record, they're probably going to put their given name.
Okay.
But if it's an article where they won something, they might have told the reporter, my name is my middle name, so I would, you're just going to need to search both.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
on Ancestry, record them as what the legal name is.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Joyce, I had asked about the Westchester Historical Society and what is it that, how would you be able to, what would you be looking for there, and how would you access it?
So the Westchester County Historical Society, one has amazing photos on what they call past perfect. If you Google their website, you go on their website and you can download their pictures right there, but they are watermarked. You can order them from them, and I believe it's free if you want the picture without the Westchester County watermark. They have an extensive, if you've never been there, they have a temperature controlled room. They have an amazing display. They have papers, personal papers from people's families. So even if you're not sure, just submit a request over to the Westchester County Historical Society and say, I'm looking for family papers of the Bob Smith's family, and just see if they have it. Because I have been surprised every time of their collections. But they do have photographs, they do have wills, they do have collections, they have people's personal papers, they have a lot. And military records, if you have family in the military, go to fold3.com. Fold3.com has a lot of military records, the Library of Congress. In that document I sent, I'll give to you, Diana, I believe the military places for you to search will be in there as well. I have, and Shandi's going to laugh, I have requested quite a few full military records, because remember, under FOIL, you are entitled to records. Now, some of it might be redacted, but Freedom of Information allows you to get records. So you will see their name, their branch, their rank, any citations they got, medals, you will be able to see that. If you are a direct descendant, you can get their entire military record for free. So if it was your father or your mother was a WAC, you can get the full record and even get a replacement of their medals. I've done that too.
I've requested military records, but it's taking a very long time, like literally over a year.
They're slow.
Very.
Mhm. That's not unusual.
Is that Peggy talking?
Yes.
Peggy, Shandi's also going to laugh again at what I've done to them. It's not unusual, but I do not, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, Joyce.
We can hear you, Joyce. Oh, she just
Okay,
came
Diana,
out.
let me, I'm gonna go
Yep.
into my phone because it's
Yeah,
not gonna
just
shut
let you
off.
in,
Can
yeah.
you let me in that way?
Yeah, I just did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them.
Peggy,
Okay.
you talked about the military, correct?
Yes.
They do that quite often, where it takes a long time. Shandi will laugh. I had a standing appointment. This is what I did every Monday. I sent it again. I did this. Hold on one second. I did this so often that I ended up with so much stuff. But I got if you can give, what's your email? I'm going to send you something.
My email,
Yep.
freefallin, FREEFALLIN_05 @ yahoo.com.
I'm going to send you the number of the supervisor that I got his number, and he has never let me down.
Okay.
I'm going to send you that so you can follow up on your request. He usually is very responsive, but I started from getting nothing to having a full 3-inch binder full of my family's military record.
Great. It just says pending, but it's literally been well over a year.
Yeah, I know COVID has something to do with it, but they were like that before. But
Yes.
I'm gonna, hopefully this gentleman is still in and you will have a way to get your record request fulfilled.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
But they also, for instance, my father, I got his medals, but no record. So trying to find out where he was, this was during Korea, nothing. They're saying that there's nothing, but they told Joyce there was nothing, so.
Yeah, they told me from my uncle, who was a war hero, that all of his stuff was burned in a fire. I went to everything was burned in a file to getting his very detailed, about 5 inches of records report that they told me was burned in a fire.
I kept telling Joyce it wasn't burned in a fire. It's not true. It's just something that they don't want to go look for it.
Right.
So that supervisor that I'm going to give you his information, he's the one that went in and looked and he made it happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Does anybody need the, well, I'll send that too, the military form to get military records?
I'm sorry.
I am very interested in the military records for my own father and my father-in-law.
Okay, I will make sure you get that sheet as well.
Thank
And a
you.
form.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Can-
welcome.
Can you get them, like, for example, if I had an aunt who served in the military and she did not have any children, she wasn't married, would I be able to get her records, or is it only for your parents, grandparents, etc.?
So that was the problem I had with my uncle Clarence. He had no children that, well, we ended up finding out in Korea he had a little fun, but he you will not get it. You will not get the full one because there's no direct descendant, but you will get the you can get per FOIL, pursuant to FOIL, you will get enough information about her service.
Okay. And what was the website? Did you say, I thought I heard you say fold3.com. I couldn't understand what you were.
Fold3, FOLD, the number 3.com.
Number 3, okay.
The number 3.com.
Okay, thank you.
Also, if you go to, if they were Westchester County residents, you also want to look at the pension records as well, but USGW archives.net, they have a military section. You know what, don't worry about writing this down. I'm just going to send this. I put together an online research guide. I'll just send it to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I just had one question regarding ancestry versus family search. Do you
Yes.
have a preference for, I mean, obviously one seems to be free and the other paid. I've used both. I don't see my doing work on both of them. That sounds like a lot of work and a lot of duplication, but do you find one better than the other, or any preferences?
I honestly, I think I could put this on now. Honestly, I would do both. It is a lot of work. This is definitely something that's going to take time if you want a complete record of your family. But I have found things on Family Search that I did not find in Ancestry, and vice versa. You really have to use them both. And because when you find it, you're not going to care that you had to do double the work. You're going to feel really good because you you found that little missing piece. But when you go into family search, sometimes try the catalog instead of just searching all records. Go to search, then catalog, then click the online button and put the location. So if I'm looking for Westchester, I will look and see what all of the online Westchester records are. And that goes for everyone. If you're looking at Idaho, you're go in and put Idaho and see everything that's online in Idaho.
Okay.
You're also really going to become friends with your local librarian. So that if you want to tell, if there's any other resource I missed that's at the library, I want to talk about.
You've been more thorough than we could be. So but I am going to take that list and put it on the website. If you go to our digital library, ossininglibrary.org, our digital library, there's some resources there. If I can just do a quick screen share, you'll see, I think Peggy just said about Ancestry. You can access Ancestry free through the library website. So you're starting at ossininglibrary.org, going to the digital library, and then research tools, and you'll see Ancestry, the Castle Garden Family Search, Fulton History, some of the ones that Joyce mentioned. And also, if you go to our LibGuides, that's what I was telling you about earlier, the genealogy research one is right here. I added a few that Joyce was mentioning as we went along. But there's, books that can help you out. I put some videos. There's some blogs on genealogy. So there's different places you can look there on the website. And of course, we have, if you're in this area, or New York, we have our local history collection, which we are working on. And there are other libraries. Just off the top of my head, I know Peekskill, I think Scarsdale and Greenberg all have local history collections that a lot of people do research there. You do usually have to make an appointment, so you want to call first.
New Rochelle does too.
And New Rochelle, yes. Yeah. So there's lots of options there. So I hope you use the library, check out what we have online and in person, and let us know. And I'll definitely share Joyce's list, both on the LibGuide, and we can email it if everybody's okay with an email. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
That Find a
Excellent.
Grave is wonderful as well. Find a Grave is fantastic.
Yes.
Cemetery visits are wonderful. Get in that office, make friends with everybody in the office, bring them donuts, and watch all that information come. And city directories, they also can be found on Ancestry, but like I said, everything is not digitized. So we're working with the library to get copies of directories and other things made accessible. But if you're from somewhere else, you want to contact that library or their historical society, get into the directories, the graveyards. You can go in there and find out everything. You want to know what the people passed away from. You want to know what's in your family line. You want to know who was the informant, because that might be another family member or the answer to a genealogical question. What nursing home they at? Did they die at home? There's just so much that you can learn. We would be here all day.
But we probably should stop. So I just want to thank Joyce so much for sharing all your experience and knowledge about this. It's just amazing, Joyce, what you've been able to do about your own family and to help us, really find out about our family. So good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Very
much.
good.
Yeah, take care, everyone. We'll email and send everything.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.